G'day, Andy from Single Malt. How you going? Going to taste the Glenkinchie 12-year-old. It's a lowland whiskey. We don't taste many lowland whiskies. There's only three of them. This is the Glenkinchie, which is also known as the Edinburgh malt, because it's quite close in proximity to Edinburgh. So most people who travel to Scotland do go through the Glenkinchie Visitors Centre. The other lowland whiskies, of course, are the Auchentoshan and the Bladnoch. They service grain distilleries. I shouldn't say that there's only three distilleries in the lowlands. There's only three malt distilleries in the lowlands. The other distilleries that are in the lowlands are grain distilleries. They operate on a continuous basis rather than batch pot stills, and they distill wheat as opposed to barley. So they're North British operate one, Invergordon, Port Dundas, Strathclyde are all lowland distilleries, but grain distilleries, and they bang out lots and lots and lots of spirit, which is the backbone of the blends, and then they whack in some single malts to give the blend some depth of flavour. So you see a lot of Glenkinchie in things like Dimple 15-year-old, and the majority of the very commercially available blended whiskies will have a fair degree of a lowland single malt in them. They tend to be very large distilleries, the lowland ones, because they're kind of supplying the production houses of the continuous grain distilleries. So these this distillery I'm quite looking forward to trying. It's owned by Diageo, which is the world's largest alcoholic beverage company. It's one of the regional series, and it's it's a good opportunity to try something from the lowlands. They traditionally produce a lighter style of whiskey, more of a summer style of whiskey. We're coming into spring in Australia, so why not do something that's a little bit lighter rather than a big heavy peat monster. Now, I believe I've been informed that this is aged in American oak barrels, or predominantly American oak barrels, but it has quite a bronzy colour. So there's been some talk about it having a caramel added to it. Now, the majority of the whiskies we taste are caramel free. They don't put any other additives in them, and the only colour that comes into the whiskey is from the oak. So given that this has a darker colour than you would get from a refill American hogshead, it does suggest that it has been amended a little bit with some caramel. So I don't know that it changes the flavour. I'm led to believe that it does, but it's something that I haven't been able to pick up. So look, for no other reason than that, it's probably worth trying and seeing if you can pick the caramel flavours. There's also been a bit of debate about this whiskey. I remember when I tried it when it was first released as a 12-year-old. I didn't like it. That was about 5 years ago. There was the 10-year-old, and then the 12 came along in new packaging, and the finish on the newly released 12-year-old I thought was not very nice. However, I think there's been some modifications and reaction to that. So I'm really looking forward to seeing what this new 12-year-old's like. So let's give it a run, shall we? Okie dokie. Oh, you actually get straight out of the bottle a vanilla-y maltiness, so very indicative of American oak. Yeah, and it's really prevalent there. So yeah, some fruitiness, citrus, more limes than lemons, maybe a bit of mandarin even. Yeah, it's quite pleasant actually. Let's have a look. So I quite like the nose. I think it's nice and quite lifted. Actually, that was a criticism of another criticism of the earlier bottlings that I've been reading in the research. It's a very different whiskey to the one I tasted a number of years ago. There's nothing not to like about this whiskey. Let me put it that way, and plenty to like. Initially there's an almondy, cashewy taste, obvious maltiness. It's not sweet. You'll hear a lot of talk about the lowlands being sweet. I'd say this is more spicy. It's delicate rather than light. It's inviting. Look, I really quite enjoy it. 43%, so it's got some weight to it with alcohol. It has kind of an estery mouthfeel as well, which stays with you actually. So it's got a creaminess that's still there on my palate. Maybe a bit of sawdust. Sort of a bittersweet character. Some say that can be the caramel flavour. I don't know if I've put that in my own head now. But that's kind of the... it's not an unpleasant flavour, but it's certainly there. And it's only one flavour component of a much bigger picture. Look, it's eminently drinkable. Very drink. Actually, it's actually a very pleasant whiskey. Great for... yeah, it's a great light whiskey coming into summer. I think I'll drink a lot of this. Well, at least a bottle. Plenty of citrus. It's a little bit like Corona with the lime in the top, meaning that it's got citrus, which is perfect for the warmer weather, and yeah, some really nice characters in there. If you want to go a little bit deeper, there's some nuttiness and marshmallows, maybe a little bit of condensed milk. Is that caramel? No, it's different. But look, it's a lovely dram, and give it a go. It's a lowland, not one. It's one to have in the collection. So you can always show your friends the difference between a highland and a lowland, and an Isla and a Speyside. So yeah, give it a run. Judge it for yourself. Read the press. There's been a bit of hate on it, but I think that's all pre-2010 or 2010 or before. Any reviews I've read 2011, 2012 have been very favourable, and I agree. I think it's really turned the corner. So here's cheers to Diageo. Good job with this whiskey. It's a delight.